I see you are here again, and I am very thankful for that. And very thankful to continue sharing my story, which was a promise to myself to speak my truth. Oh, it's been a long journey to get here, but hey, we showed up, didn't we? Okay, so continuing on, chapter 53 we're at, and it's called Jumping In. I was once told by a mystic that I was a messenger of God. Truth. Her abrupt perception was nothing new to my conscious awareness. Nope. The observations were simply confirmation. Confirmation of what I had already been told by my guides many times over and experienced regardless of how many times I tried to downplay that reality. The new aspect of our conversation was a truth she spoke that echoed through to my soul like a shock wave of change. She said quite simply, "Lauren, you do not need to learn how to walk on water. But you most certainly do have to make the conscious decision to know your truth and jump into the pool." I love that. If you're listening to this, I thank you for that amazing analogy. Okay, now I immediately knew she genuinely spoke of an understanding I needed to embrace. I also knew I would eventually find a way to accept the life I have been given and learn to gain the confidence needed to love who I am and how I showed up in this world. As it turns out, her guidance was actually quite literal. It started at the cusp of a brand new year, when an obvious yearning resurfaced from somewhere deep within my heart and soul. I had been working on spiritual and emotional aspects of my life path for many, many years, as I learned to speak my truth and push past my own expansive fears of insecurity, responsibility, and rejection. There was a lot of fears tied into all those things. Of course there was. However, regardless of the inner work I had already endured, it was becoming very evident that it was also time for my physical body to catch up to my soulful transformation, most certainly underway. I'm still waiting for it to catch up, but anyways, this is where it started. I've always taught that change occurs on a spiritual level, emotional, and then physical. And I fully stand behind that place of awareness. Spiritual level, emotional, and then physical. It is impossible to create positive physical change in our world if we have not also done the inner work needed within our thoughts and intentions to manifest change. In terms of physical health and agility, you can push yourself to follow strict diets, exercise plans, healthy regimes, and scheduled routines, but it will always seem like an uphill battle until your soul becomes fully in alignment with the changes at hand. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, I find unhealthy lifestyle choices slowly creep in over the years. But for myself, it began right around the time of my biblical events as they started to unfold. Of course it did. I was stressed to the nines. Of course that's when my unhealthy lifestyle choices crept in. As my mind whirled and stress mounted, I basically stopped taking care of myself. I put both physical activity and my own health on the back burner as I delved into the emotional roller coaster of seeing beyond the veil and making sense of my own inner knowing. Of course, I tried to make health a priority throughout those years. Of course. But that was never really the case. Not at all. Perhaps it was my way of shutting down and disconnecting from the outside world. Perhaps I felt I already had way too much on my plate to tackle physical health as well. Whatever the reason, it was evident that my body was being neglected and in some significant need of repair. I'll admit that. I'll still admit that. Of course. Now, the other aspect that became drastically clear was the moment that my priorities shifted and my health did become a focus yet again. I had been slowly learning to love myself after all those years of hating who I was. I had done the inner work to find emotional balance in my truth and teachings, while making peace with my inner reality. Then one beautiful day, my outer reality and physical vessel came into focus. It was like my soul decided it was time for change. And my body and mind actually just listened. That was a different experience for damn sure. There was no struggle. There wasn't. There was no deprivation, no avoidance, just solid motivation towards change that slowly began to occur overnight. It wasn't quick, it was slow. And not that physical change is ever void of effort. I wish. Or that I could accomplish healthy living through intentions alone, because it takes solid work, determination, and focus to both achieve and maintain. It was more so that once my soul became fully engaged in my life again, that I also started to crave health and wellness. I did. I craved it. To put it simply, my passion for living life to the fullest had finally started to return. Thank God. Thereby also creating the motivation and inspiration to begin restoring my own health and happiness. Now, my body has always craved water. I came from a childhood of spending many, many hours in a pool and loved the peaceful breath work I was able to obtain while submerged deep within those healing waters. To me, it was never about exercise, nor was it something I had to endure to maintain physical agility. It was truly a little piece of heaven floating right here on earth. So at the dawn of yet another year, I found myself yearning to familiarize myself with that expansive feeling I had so long ago left behind. Now, as it turns out, my opinion and experiences remain the same. I love and crave water. When I finally started giving myself permission to enjoy this dormant aspect, my well-being naturally began to change. It's a good thing as well. My mind became clear. My lifestyle gradually improved. My motivation slowly expanded. My physical being began to reclaim that outer strength I had been building internally for many years. And my whole life began to morph back into balance. Looking back, I had written about this shift years prior. I did. Journal entries noted that when the time was right, I would take back my 30 plus years hiatus from my love of swimming and just jump right back in. I was 46 years old, almost 53, in my little juxtapose of time, before my soul finally decided it was officially time to begin the slow but steady process of improving my physical health and listening to my inner calling towards the healing power of water. In looking at it now, I can also clearly see I knew and felt health and physical endurance was not a priority. It was not a priority during those earlier years of change. I would tell myself it was. Made plans to get myself back into better shape along the way. But if I had been brutally honest with myself during my period of spiritual expansion, I would have known my physical being was most certainly not a priority at that time. Understanding that would have given me the freedom to be gentler on myself during my sacred dance of inner and outer metamorphosis. Instead, I lived in judgment of myself. Judgment. Wondering why I could not shift my perspective or lacked the ambition to address my health issues. In truth, it was never a priority. Until one day, it just was. It was at that divine appointment in time, I finally, after all those years, gave myself complete permission to jump into the pool and start living my life. Mastering your soul works. Many of us make sacrifices to our physical well-being daily. We do, putting our own interests behind many other priorities, responsibilities, and collective understandings. However, truth be known, Our body is the temple of a very wise old soul. When we listen to and find balance between all aspects of our physical and spiritual realities, we are fully living in an enlightened state. Taking this further, what I have come to experience and understand is that when we are physically healthy and strong, our auric field becomes much more impenetrable by all external influences, including the thoughts, opinions, and projections of others. Handy little piece of knowledge, hey? In other words, as we become physically healthier, so too do we master those states on an emotional and spiritual level, helping to bring balance to all areas of our individual energetic footprint. This is a critical component to understand when learning how to manage your own energy field and soul development. Spiritual agility is not limited to mastering a Zen-like state or meditative pose. Nope. Adding physical well-being and healthy lifestyle choices into your daily routine creates inner and outer balance and resilience to all things. As for the physical well-being component, as much as I believe every soul has a path, every soul has a path, I also believe there are activities and passions we are called to unearth. In truth, we tend to forget about the importance of our individual preferences and instead try to fit into the box society has already provided. We follow predetermined diet plans. We listen to the latest advice on what activities are deemed best. We fall hook, line, and sinker into the reasons behind health issues. And we avoid all foods that are flagged as terrible choices to our personal well-being without once questioning the validity of those claims. I have an issue with that. I have a lot of issues, but I have an issue with this particular topic. I've always believed we are provided for and that we are on this earth to enjoy the abundance, to enjoy it, all the abundance within it. Not only that, but we don't need access to a personal trainer or superfood harvested halfway around the globe to obtain or maintain health and wellness. Although they're a great help if you do have access, but they're not needed. They are not needed. What we need is to be true to our own inner knowing, while understanding we are always provided for and can always find our way. We can. That and staying flexible to new options. Learn to adapt to the changes life throws your way so that regardless of whether you have access to your favorite workout or dietary preferences, you still feel balanced and in control of your life. There's the key. Balanced and in control of your life. Keep your variables open so that you can learn how to modify and adjust your daily routines when life requires you to shake it up a little. and go with the flow. Your move. Jump in. Jump in. When you are ready, allow yourself to jump into your life with both feet. You are who you are for a reason. Your life path cannot be denied, avoided, or wished away. If only it was that easy. Nope. It just is. Your life just is. Allow yourself to show up for and as you, each and every day, by following the directives of your soul. Feel free to also add to the equation by learning how to both listen to and talk to your body. At one point, I fell into the illusion that I have trouble waking up. I do sometimes. But in truth, I just love sleeping. I do. You know why? Because there's that other glorious side of this universe that I tap into during those dream times. Coveted coffee break from life. Pretty amazing, actually. Okay. Now, I did want to surpass my urge to stay in bed and get back into motion. So, I had a good old-fashioned talk with my body. I let her know exactly what my goals were and encouraged my body and higher self to work together on meeting those priorities. In working with your body and spirit in unison, you will find you can wake up exactly when you want, without even setting an alarm. In fact, you will even feel your soul fully re-enter your body right on schedule, letting you know it's officially time to wake up and meet the day. This concept can be taken even further to surpass beliefs or limitations you have put on your body or physical agility, right? Simply talk to your body about your goals and work with your higher self to bring them into being. Next, shift your ego weight. Remove all preconceived understandings of what makes your body healthy, or anyone else's for that matter. Your body is energetically and physically healthy when you are listening to and aligned with your soul. There are many great tools out there to help regain your vitality, shift your vibration, and improve your well-being. However, in truth, it is the weight of your ego that must be lifted by shifting back into and fully accepting the power, beauty, and worthiness of your soul. Next, cherish the abundance of our earth. Cherish it. There are many generations of strong, vibrant cultures that have thrived by hunting and gathering what was readily and logistically accessible to survive. Now, of course, there are always ways to expand our understanding of nutrition, improve our current eating practices, and learn new ways to healthier living. However, do yourself a favor and let go of the need to follow strict diet regimes, convenient food solutions, or the latest health craze readily available. Instead, believe in the resourcefulness of the universe and your own inner knowing. everything you need to sustain a healthy lifestyle naturally exists within and around you? Always. Always. Okay. Understand vibrations. Now, the earth is blessed with high vibrational foods that can be utilized to enhance your body's vibration. Physical activity, joyful living, and spiritual practices can also be utilized to increase one's vibration. However, please understand that higher frequencies are essentially sustained through heart-centered living. I'll say that again. Higher frequencies are essentially sustained through heart-centered living. In other words, walking your walk. Basically cleaning up your thoughts and actions towards yourself and all others is still the key to embody higher vibrations. Eating veggies while being cruel and judgmental to yourself and all others will result in nothing more than a strict diet plan with less than stellar frequencies within your auric field. Truth. Lose the beliefs on what is right or wrong in terms of physical well-being and just be kind. Just be kind to yourself and all others. I'll be right back. I don't know. I'm going to repeat that last sentence. Lose the beliefs on what is right or wrong in terms of physical well-being and just be kind to yourself and all others. It's harder and yet easier than we think. Okay, next, find peace with stillness. We live in a society of constant motion, never stopping to just be. Assuredly, having a balanced lifestyle does include physical activity and a healthy dose of wellness, right? However, there are many times in our lives, our life can benefit from stillness. Within these seemingly inactive states of immobility, there is inner growth, learning, and soulful expansion taking place below the surface. Just as a child goes through various growth spurts, followed by periods of inactivity, so too does our spirit move through times of inner and outer change. When in one of those moments, honor the process. Honor the process. Do not use it as an excuse to remain inactive indefinitely, but do realize there are certainly benefits to settling into the stillness that comes with these ebbs and flows of life, without the internal dialogue and judgments that tend to come along with them. learn to move with the ebbs and flows. And finally, find your individual passion for wellness. Whenever possible. Oh gosh, that didn't come out. Whenever possible. Physical well-being is essential to ensure balance, body, mind, and soul. Yes, it is. However, taking part in activities that are not fulfilling or pushing yourself based on someone else's rules will never have the same effect as working within your own personal goals and expectations. For some, that might mean getting out and doing an hour of intensive activity. For another, it might mean 20 minutes of mindful exercise towards physical agility. Either way, find what makes your soul come alive. And never deprive yourself of your own life force ever again. Jumping in to my homecoming. I will see you there.